So anyone who's here, who's jumping in, today we are working on the neck. Our class is called Freeing the Neck. And in order for our necks to be free, they need to be positioned neutral, which is not to say that our necks should always live in neutral, but our necks should always have access to neutral. They should always be able to come back to neutral and move away from neutral. And any movement away from neutral should be a deliberate thing, not just like a habit and pattern that we can't really control. So for most of us, we live in a state where the shoulders are rounded forward because all of our activities have arms in front of the body. And when that happens, in order for the neck to not go like this, because we need to look up at things, we do something like this. So the back of the neck becomes really short, the front of the neck becomes really long, and our neck flexors, which are these muscles, become kind of chronically weakened. So what we're gonna do today is we're going to train the rest of the body to help the neck find its neutral position, because the neck can't find neutral if the shoulders can't find neutral, and the shoulders can't find neutral if the rib cage can't find neutral, and the rib cage can't find neutral if the pelvis can't find neutral. We should just write a new song about this. So that's what we're gonna focus on today, is training the body, mobilizing, strengthening the rest of the body to support the neck in neutral. But then what we'll also do is add some neck strengthening exercises so that when we use the muscles of the neck, we actually have some strength there to help hold ourselves up into position. Where are we on time? 2 more minutes. Okay. So I have a couple of people already joining now. Welcome. You can say hi in the chat below, and you can ask questions as well. Ollie will be monitoring those. And so if you have anything throughout class, please drop it in there. I'm just getting my stopwatch set so that I have a little bit of a clock and I know to not go over. What else do we have to say about today? Nothing. Hi, everyone. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in. If you have some water, maybe grab some water, and then we'll get started. Also, if you can do this in a room with a mirror, that can be great too, because the mirror can help you with proprioception. All right. Let's get going. As per usual, let's go ahead and get our party started on our backs. When you come down here on your back, a little unstructured free time, that's always nice to just kind of, you are the captain of your journey. And so this is your time to settle in. Take note of where your attention is. Let your attention fill your experience. At the same time, see if you can soften your organs of perception. We were talking about this earlier this week in our gym classes. Softening the organs of perception. So the eyes, the muscle that control the eyes. Seeing if we can breathe in and out through the nose and direct the breath kind of right below the rib cage into the abdomen, and direct the breath so that it's three-dimensional, 360 degrees around the trunk. All right, when we are ready, we are going to start firing up the glutes. So arms down by the side, we can pick our sweet little hippies up, and we can just go up and down to begin today's practice. When we go up and down, we want to negotiate a good feeling position for the low back through the entire chain of movement. And we want to see if we can get the glutes, our buttocks muscles, to start firing. So the neck doesn't just start at the neck, it starts all the way down at the tailbone. And for a lot of us, we have issues getting our buttocks muscles to actually fire because we're sitting all day long And when we're sitting, they're getting kind of chronically lengthened and they're turned off. So this is our time to turn them on, because when our glutes know how to fire well and they know how to support our movements, that has a rippling effect all the way up the spine. So having said that, lift the hips, see if you can hold it here. You can take breaks whenever you need, but we want to give the brain a good amount of time to fire up the glutes, to let some of those muscle fibers get fatigued to the point that the brain has to recruit additional muscle fibers to continue the contraction. So as you're ready, let's focus on the wrists now. Arms up, collarbones broad. Feel all of your ribs draw down. That's a big thing. Flicking out through the wrists to begin. Since we'll be doing some weight bearing on the arms, we want the forearms to be pretty activated. Do this enough until you feel the forearms activate. Once you feel the forearms activate, fingers pointing up, we can flex and extend through the wrists. Really feeling it in the glutes here, so you could always take a break. And then extending through the wrists, fingernails back towards the face, taking one hand, pulling gently back on those fingers, and the other side as well. Setting everything down on the ground. Whew, how do you feel? How do the glutes feel? Maybe windshield wiper, just kind of anything that feels good here. Let's start with feet down on the floor for the abdominal exercises next. So great, we just got our glutes to fire. Now we want the trunk muscles on the front to be able to fire. So interlocking the hands behind the head, the elbows wrap in. We lift up off the shoulder blades, and since today is a neck class, we want to always check in with the neck. So neck is soft here. The neck muscles are not what we're using to lift. Instead, we're using abdominal muscles only. See if you can find your chin drawing in towards your throat. That's going to be kind of a continuous theme. You'll hear me say that a lot. Chin into the throat today. But use your hands to pull your head back a little bit so the back of the neck gets long. Use your feet, press your feet down and forward. Get a little bit of lift through your tailbone. Can you use your abdominals more to lift the chest? Coming all the way back down. Rest time. Okay, so I'm going to try to make our practice as accessible as possible today with the option to add and remove complexity as needed. So that is the first stage of complexity. If you're ready for more complexity, knees over the pelvis. If you're ready for more complexity, legs up. So here we go, off the shoulder blades again, head into the hands, chin into the throat. Now, we got ourselves nice and bolstered in the upper body, but getting ourselves bolstered in the lower body, your sitting bones, as much as you understand where those are, what those are, hug them toward each other. So you get yourself nice and bolstered in the lower body. Lift up through the tailbone as the sitting bones hug toward each other. Heads relaxed. Lift up off the shoulder blades. And we're done. Okay, coming up again. We got all of the same checkpoints. So we're lifting up off the shoulder blades, the neck's relaxed, sitting bones toward each other, lifting off the tailbone. And here we could start twisting in the upper body a little bit to the left, to the right, not taking this motion from the neck, taking this motion from the trunk. Just take the range of motion that makes sense. And coming all the way back down. How you doing? We got a couple more sets, okay? So up, here we go. Okay, get the sitting bones, the tailbone lifting. Now keep your upper body where it is, but swivel through your pelvis, keeping the sitting bones drawing toward each other, tailbone lifting. Little swivel movements. Coming back all the way up through center. Here we are. And down. Can you feel all that good stuff firing in there? That's what we need to be working for us. Okay, we'll do one more set. There's lots of ways we can play here. Play with your feet on the ground, play with your legs up. And then we just did 2 types of little rotational exercises, one with the trunk and one with the pelvis. So decide how you want to complexify this. That's not a word, but it is now. So coming up off the shoulder blades, head relaxed, neck relaxed, and move around. Maybe another 10 seconds. So if you wanted to change, do more of the upper body, more of the lower body. And as you feel ready, release everything down. Whew! Hopefully you feel some good activation in here. Let's go ahead, meet up in a tabletop position. Here we go. Hands and knees. Another good time here for a little unstructured movement. So move around here really any way that feels good. If it doesn't feel great for you to be on your wrists right now, you can pop up to your fists or down to your forearms. And I think pretty much anything I cue from the wrist can be taken in either one of these as well. Okay, so taking the elbows down now underneath the shoulders, your decision whether you have the hands wide or clasped. From here, toes tucked under, lift off the knees any amount, hips high for dolphin. This is like a forward fold position, so we really want to teach ourselves in these types of positions to let the neck go completely, chin into the throat. You can kind of even shake out a little bit through here. And we need space for the neck to be relaxed. So we need space through the collarbones. Those are the bones in the upper body. We'll feel those in a second. We want space through the shoulder blades. And then, of course, we want the spine to be super long, because if the spine is feeling, like it doesn't have a lot of movement, it's going to be hard for the neck to relax. So if you bend the knees, get high in the toes, really tip the tailbone up towards the sky. As you feel ready, knees down, popping up to the hands, pushing off the knees so you're on your feet, walking all the way back for our first standing forward fold at the back of the mat. Same thing here. So if the floor seems really far away, perch yourself up on your legs, or if you have like an ottoman or a couch seat or something nearby, you can take that. And this is just kind of, again, unstructured free time here, whether you want to move or be still, whatever makes sense to you. The neck starts all the way down at the tailbone. Imagine your spine is like a chain link necklace. When you pull on one of those links, it has an impact through the rest of the line. So feel your feet ground, your knees bend, scoop the tailbone under, and slowly round the front of the body all the way up to stand with your neck coming into place last. Now, when we come up to stand, here's our first opportunity to find a neutral neck. So in order for us to find a neutral neck, we need to find neutral shoulders. To do that, you need neutral ribs. To do that, you need neutral pelvis. So hands onto the hips for now. We'll rock the pelvis forward and backward. As we do this, pay attention to how your weight in your feet. So weight your feet evenly from the front to the back. Split the difference and find a nice upright pelvis where your pelvis is back over your heels. For most of us, it's going to feel like you have to work to back your pelvis up. Now imagine from the belly button down, we are preserving what we just did as we slide the hands up to the ribs, and we feel that the rib cage can also tip forward and backward. So this is kind of like a segmented cat-cow movement, just trying to find movement in the ribs where the pelvis isn't moving. And then trying to feel a neutral rib cage here, where the rib cage is sitting right on top of the pelvis. And then from here, taking the hands, sliding them back behind the head without disturbing that. So this can be very challenging, and your elbows might be more curled in by your face, but we'd rather do this than this. So this is nothing, this is something. So we get ourselves as neutral as we can in the pelvis, the ribs, and we feel the thumbs pull into where the skull and the neck attaches. That's called the occipital ridge. And hooked there, we just kind of lightly guide the head up and back. And as we move today, we want to imagine that we are hooked. Hey, Ollie, can you check the thing? It might have just turned black. Hey, Ollie? I don't know if the screen turned black. So we just want to pull we want to take the thumbs into the head and pull the head all the way up and back. So from here, we're in a nice upright standing position. Hi everyone again. Don't worry, the screen just turned black, that's normal. Okay, so from here, we want to preserve all of this as we inhale, reach the arms all the way up and all the way back down. We'll just move like this, and we want to see pelvis, ribs, and head remaining nice and stable. So now we're learning how to move our shoulders independently of our neck, independently of our ribs. And now from here, this last time that we come down, we'll take one hand behind the head. So we use the hand to map. We take one hand behind the low back. We are not changing the relationship of the pelvis, the ribs, or the neck. We're just bending into the knees. Bending into the knees, but preserve all of these relationships. We're going to keep the hands here for mapping to preserve this as we now tip the pelvis forward and we hinge the spine forward any amount, and then we press through the feet and come up. And we're going to repeat this several times so that the brain can start to map this and it can start to ask our glutes, hi glutes, we turned you on earlier, we want you back. We want the glutes to be our primary drivers when we come all the way up. The next time we come up, change the mapping. One hand behind your head, one hand behind your low back. Continuing. For me, I can feel how my low back really wants to come out of position to allow me to fold. I bet you're probably the same. So coming down, here we are, we're gonna see, can I lower my hands down with the arms facing toward each other, but I'm maintaining all of this. So my glutes are holding me, my abdomen is holding me here, without changing the relationship of the pelvis, the ribs, or the neck, pulling the left elbow up by the side and down. Right elbow up and down. Continue. And then this time, hands together, interlock, bringing them up towards the collarbones. Feel those bones. They should be nice and broad to give space for the neck. Can I preserve all these curves as I stand back up? Inhale, I reach my arms all the way up. Exhale, tipping forward where I just was. See if I can do that without my hand mapping. Hands down again. This time the hands face back. So find that relationship between the pelvis, the ribs, and the neck. The chin is in. As we go here, left elbow up, right elbow up. So it's a different type of elbow lifting here. And now, in fact, can I take left arm to cactus and right arm to cactus? So I hope you can feel how your legs and your glutes are holding you. Like, this is crazy in my glutes right now, but it's great. Hands to the collarbones, coming up. Inhale, reaching the arms all the way up. Exhale, tipping forward, preserving that relationship until we get down to a point where now everything can flex in and the chin and the neck can go soft. From here, walking the hands forward, first downward facing dog, pressing out through the fingers more than the wrists. This is also a forward fold position. So remember, neck is soft, but in order for it to be soft, we need space for it. So we need space through the collarbones, space through the shoulder blades. Everything is active there. The more active that the arms can be, that the shoulders can be, the more space and freedom the neck feels like it has. As we feel ready, shifting the position forward to plank. This is a lot, so if you need knees down, take knees down. We want to get neck up and into neutral. Your low back is nice and supported here. And even if you need to look with your head to kind of see what I'm doing, that's okay. But make these deliberate movements where the neck is lifting. Now we'll take the knees down. The pelvis is in front of the knees. The heart's in line with the fingernails. And from here, the neck stays in line with the spine. It all lowers as one unit, maybe even looking forward as we come all the way down. Come down, release, relax. Do anything that feels good. In these prone positions, we need the low back to feel good. So negotiate that if you need a little glutes, a little abdomen. We'll have the head lifted, but the back of the neck is long. So the nose is just hovered from the floor. Cactusing the arms. We will hover the arms up off the ground and pulse. Now we want to be able to move our shoulders independently of our rib cage. So I want to feel my ribs and my pelvis still neutral with each other. My ribs are not moving. And then from here, with the elbows down, we can keep the elbows on the ground as we just lift the palms and down, and lift the palms and down, and lift the palms and down. And then turning the hands on the pinky side so the hands are facing each other, pinkies on the floor. Lift the palms down, palms down, palms down. One last time, palms facing out, thumbs on the ground. Palms down, palms down, palms down. Great job. Slide the hands back underneath the elbows. Roll the shoulders away from the ground with the back of the neck long. So see if you can find the neck is nice and long and supported. Press down with the finger pads. We want to feel your collarbones here, really broad left to right. So not buckling in the collarbones. Keep those nice and organized. Keep the neck lifting in line with the spine as you press up to your knees. And then tuck the toes, lift the pelvis up and back, down dog. So just kind of see how that went for you. Here we go. We'll push off the hands one at a time, walking all the way back to the feet, bending over the legs at the back of the mat. Can we find where we just were with that halfway, with that hip hinge, where the low back's in neutral, chest is open, neck is long, back of the neck, and here can we add arms wide like wings. On the exhale, forward folding, tipping forward, back of the neck releases. Inhale, ripple from the tailbone all the way up through the neck. Hands onto the waist. Can I lift the upper body in one piece? Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, taking the arms down. One more time like that. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, tipping over the legs. Forward fold. Inhale, backing out to that halfway with the neck long, back of the neck long. And then exhale, hands down, walking forward, downward facing dog. Shifting forward to plank. Let your glutes hold you. Glutes are fired. The glutes will help support the pelvis, the low back. Get your neck in line with that. As you feel ready, knees down to the ground. Lower in one piece. Keep your neck supported. When we come down, tent the fingers outside the mat. Wrap the elbows up. Make sure your low back feels okay as you push into your finger pads and roll off the ground any amount and down. When you do this, feel the front of the body is lifting up with you. And that starts like the entire front of the body. So the front of the legs, the front of the pelvis, the abdomen, the ribs. And recall the image of the chain link from the tailbone. And so the tailbone starts the movement. The tailbone is actually curling down. And then the neck is the last piece to follow. As we feel ready, back of the neck long, heads hovered, hands back underneath the elbows, roll the shoulders away from the ground. Can you keep your collarbones on the front organized? Your neck is in this position, your head doesn't buckle down. Okay, here we go. We're gonna lift up to the knees and up off the knees to down dog. Here we go, pushing off the hands one at a time to walk all the way back to the feet. From that position on the inhale breath, widening the reach halfway. On the exhale breath, forward fold. One more time, inhale halfway. Hands onto the pelvis, stand up. Reaching all the way out and up. And hands down. Find neutral pelvis, neutral ribs, neutral head. Map it with your hands. Low back and neck. Very important here to teach the hips how to move without moving the low back or the neck out of neutral. Left leg up, forward, right leg up, forward. Keep moving like that. When you get to the top, let's march in place a couple of times. And the more that you do this and the more confident you are in your neutral, you can start picking up the pace, going a little bit faster. When you're ready, one foot by the other, we can release the hands. Feel yourself in neutral. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, tipping forward, maintaining neutral between pelvis, ribs, neck as you come down. And then from here, we'll move the left foot back, knee and top of the foot down to the ground for a half kneel. So when you come upright here, pelvis over the knee, pelvis equally set between your legs and armpits. Can we just kind of wiggle around here to get the pelvis neutral, the ribs in neutral over it. So you're gonna feel like you're more over the back leg than you are bending into the front leg. And then from here, hands behind the head. Again, use your hands to help guide your head up and back. And it's not just your head that goes up and back, it's literally the entire front of the body. So you're teaching your front ribs how to go into the front of your body, teaching your front pelvis how to go into the front of the body. As you feel ready, tipping forward, lift off the back knee. Feel your low back. Can you preserve your low back curve as you step the back foot in? Inhale, come up. Exhale, chair. Chair, we're gonna bounce, pulsing. And in the pulse, we're kind of like diagonal in the spine, but we're still neutral in the relationship between pelvis, ribs, and neck. So when you bounce, try to preserve your low back, preserve your neck, and then tip forward. Inhale, arms wide. Exhale, hands down, right foot back, knee and top of the foot to the floor. Here we go, we're up over the back leg. Set your pelvis evenly between your legs and your armpits. A mirror can be really useful for that. Feeling that the pelvis is neutral, the ribs are neutral. When you're ready to take the arms help guide the head up and back. And the legs are active, the left heel drawing towards the body, the right knee drawing forward. As you feel ready, feel your low back, come forward over the front leg, lift off your back leg, bring it in. Inhale, we'll reach up. Exhale, we'll tip forward. From here, stepping back, plank pose. Support the position with your glutes, get your neck in line. Right knee down to the floor underneath the body, left knee down. Right foot back, left foot back. So we'll move like that, trying to keep the spine nice and stable, the neck nice and stable. This is building some shoulder strength, stability. Good. Back to plank. Knees down, they're behind the pelvis. Heart's in front, in line with the fingernails. Keep your neck in line with the spine, lower in one piece. When we come all the way down, tenting the fingers, elbows wrap up, push into the finger pads, lift just a little bit. Feel the front of the body lift up with you. You can do this a couple of times. Sometimes I need a few repetitions to feel what my front body is supposed to do. Chin into the throat. Now the chin traces the collarbones to the left armpit. The chin traces the collarbones to the right armpit. Back and forth. Back of the neck stays long. As you feel ready, chin down through center, back of the neck long. Hands back underneath the elbows. You know the drill. Keep your collarbones organized. Press up to the knees. Up off the knees, down dog. Pushing off the hands one at a time. Walk back to the feet. Bending over the legs at the back. Come all the way up to stand. Go ahead, release the hands all the way down by your sides. Map the head, map the low back. Here we go. Marching forward. When you get to the top again, remember, we're going to keep marching in place, trying to preserve low back, neck. You can pick up the pace. You could even run a little bit in place, preserving the curves. Okay, from here we go. Hands down by the side. In fact, now hands on the pelvis. We're gonna try high lunge this time. Right foot stays here, left foot back with the heel lifted. Again, we're over the back knee, pelvis up, ribs up. Use the hands to help guide and map here. Okay, from this mapping, you can decide, do you like them here? Do you like your hands on your pelvis? I'm gonna take them actually to the low back because I know that my low back has the tendency to want to move and come out of its natural curve. So from here, I'm gonna hinge the pelvis forward over the front leg, keeping and maintaining my low back curve and my neck in neutral, and then coming back up to the lunge. So here we go, a few times. And it takes a few repetitions for the brain to actually get a good handle on what we're asking it to do. And so now I can really start to feel that front leg, that front glute. Now as I come forward, I have the option to stay here. I have the option to bump the back foot in, keeping the low back curve neutral, my neck in line. I'm gonna take my hand back here to map. And then from here, this can be enough complexity, or I can pull the left knee in and back. And if the left knee's going in, you feel like you can add more, heel straightens and back. Knee in, straight, up, back. Taking it back, turning open. Are you with me? Heels in, toes out, set down. Sway yourself a little bit left to right. Get yourself into a position here. So set your legs however you need to get the pelvis upright, the ribs upright, the head upright here. Okay? Now imagine that from the belly button down, we're preserving all of that. It's frozen, so to speak. From the chest up, the shoulders up, same thing. So what is not frozen is my side waist, my ribs. So from here, a little turny action to the left and to the right. Trying to keep a sense of vertical through my entire spine. Coming back through center, coming all the way down here. If I want, straighten out through the arms, back of the neck long, front of the ribs dropping down into the body. Straightening out through the legs, keeping the pelvis upright, not tipping it forward. That's not the side view, but you get what I mean. Coming all the way down, pulling the arms down. Okay, down, here we go. Turning the position back forward. Here we are in that standing lunge. cactus the arms here. With the cactus arms, can I find neutral pelvis, neutral ribs, neutral neck, and moving the shoulders forward and back. Opening the shoulders. Hands down onto the waist, pulling the back foot in, standing upright. Neutral pelvis, neutral ribs, neutral neck. Arms up, hands down to the waist. Sit down for chair. Little bounce to find that in the lower legs. Okay, neutral low back, ribs, head. Okay, we're gonna keep that. We're gonna fold the position over the front and we'll come back to chair. So this is what we're doing in our lunges, but now it's symmetrical. So you can see how a lot of our neck work is just really asking other parts of our body to be really deliberate and strong. Come all the way up. Inhale, arms reach. And then hands down in front. Hands onto the waist. Right foot steps back to lunge, heel lifting. We're over the back leg. Pelvis is neutral. Ribs are neutral. Neck is neutral. So here we are. This is what we're trying to find and experience here. We even use our hands to help guide the neck. We know that's always good. Okay, and then we use our hands for mapping because we have lots of stuff in our skin and that helps the brain understand. So, keeping the natural curve of the low back as we hinge forward over the front leg and we come back upright. And I'm trying to move the entire upper body as one complete unit, neck included. Coming forward, pause, bump the back foot in while preserving that curve. Okay, here we go. You can stay here. This is lots of complexity for that front leg, or knee in and back. You know the drill. If you can deal with more complexity, heel and back. This time, heel back, open ourselves up, horse pose, here we go, setting down, trying to get our pelvis nice and upright, our ribs nice and up, our head nice and up. And this time we can move in the shoulders, keeping everything else nice and still. So arms out, turning a little bit, seeing if we can find freedom for the neck. So notice where your neck feels like it's being tugged on, where it feels like there's shortening, where it feels like there's more tension than there needs or should be, and how can you reposition the rest of your body to support it. Palms open, bend the elbows, hands behind the head, arms open, rolling, thumbs down, hands down by the pelvis, lifting up and back, palms down, rolling open, lifting up, hands behind the head. One more time, open, roll, arms down, keep your chest open. We're not moving the neck, we're not moving the ribs. Back, taking the hands behind the head. Here we go, hands to the pelvis, straightening out through the legs. Let's turn ourselves back forward, so we're in the lunge. Push off the back foot, stand up. See if you can feel yourself here. Here we go, inhale, reaching wide and high with the arms. Exhale, we're gonna tip forward all the way down. We're gonna step the feet back, tabletop. Hands on the floor, tabletop. Pelvis is neutral in this relationship. It means like you could put a cup of coffee on your low back, but the front body is lifting to support it. Ribs, nice and neutral. That might mean your back ribs need to lengthen away from the pelvis and your front ribs need to draw into your body a little bit. But then find your neck here. Kind of move around through the neck a little bit. Ooh, that feels good. And you know that your neck needs space in your collarbones and your shoulder blades, so your arms are active and strong. And the container of the shoulder girdle, is set up in a way that's supportive for the neck. Now, pressing down with the fingers, can I lift my knees and take them down? And lift the knees and take them down. And I'm trying to maintain everything here. Now, bear crawls. You with me, my friends? You can have your knees down and you can push off your limbs with your knees down, or you can have your knees up and you can push like this. Left foot, right foot back. Left hand, right foot back. Right hand, left foot back. Left hand, right foot back. All the way to the back. Come down, take a break. Get off your wrists. See how you feel. Crawling, very good, very important for us. We're gonna come back. We're gonna come forward. Okay? So come back, tabletop position. See if you can find yourself again here. Remember, you can move from the knees down on the ground, which will be less load. More load is knees hovering as we walk ourselves forward. We're not aiming for perfection. Just more intelligent movement patterns than yesterday. Okay? Now, do you have a yoga blanket nearby? Could have said this at the beginning of class. Okay. If you have a yoga blanket nearby, cool, grab it. If you don't, get a big towel. Folded towel. Run. Go get one or two. You can pause this and come back. Here's where we add more load for the neck, if you're ready for it. Only if you're ready for it. Ollie? I don't know if this just went black again. Hey, Ollie? Did it go black again? Did it go black again? No? Okay. I just heard it like click over here. Cool, thank you. Okay, so if you're ready for more load, then you'll put your, this is funny. You'll put your blanket or your towel over your head. Find your tabletop position. Chin into the throat, remember that? So the back of the neck is long. Ribs in, pelvis neutral. And now from here, this can be quite a lot of load and this will help you strengthen your neck over time. But you could also decide, I'm gonna do some more bear crawls here. So pushing out through the fingers, here we go. Do I look crazy? You probably look crazy too. This is why we do it at home. So once you get to the back, we go to the front. Okay, so we could actually do this many, many, many more times. It would probably be really fun. But let's call it quits for that for right now. Okay, let's go ahead, come down onto our side. We'll do a little neck strengthening now. Okay, so what we've done so far, do the rest of the body so that the neck can be in neutral. We also want all the muscles on the neck to be really strong so they can be supportive of all of our movements. So coming down, we're just gonna lay down on the right side. We're gonna try to get our ribs stacked and our pelvis stacked. And you actually don't want a pillow for this because we wanna strengthen our neck. So the first thing is kind of let your head rest down towards the ground so that your right ear is kind of floppy on the ground. And you're gonna have to kind of suss this out for yourself, like what range of motion works, all of that kind of good stuff, right? So from here, we go up and down. We're trying to do this without it necessarily pulling on anything in the back or the shoulders. And it's a lot for the brain to understand what's going on here. So you're gonna feel this in like the left side of your neck. And then take a break and just kind of see how that went, because it can feel funky at first, and that's okay. And sometimes it feels funky now, but it feels really, really good later once it starts to set in, right? So from here, we're gonna do the same thing, but this time as we take the head up, we're gonna turn the nose up to the sky and down. So maybe just 4 of these. And then this time, do you know where we're going? As we pull the head up, nose down. Good. Let's go ahead and press ourselves up and to the other side. So you just kind of see how you feel. How does the upper back feel? Because the neck threads into the upper back. So again, something might feel a little bit off or funky, but you just go with it. Coming over to the left. Okay, first thing is try to arrange yourself pelvis, ribs in such a way where it feels kind of supportive already, right? So with the head down, the first thing is just head up. I can already feel how on this side, like positioning the rest of the body is one of the trickier things and one of the things that makes the most difference in terms of how this feels. So coming down, when you come up, nose up. And then as you come up, nose down. And then pressing your way all the way on up to a seat. See how you feel. Where we'll meet here is in a high kneeling position. So coming all the way up to the knees. If you want your blanket, I'll take mine just because I have it here, or your towel underneath the knees. Okay, so knees down, tops of feet down, pelvis over the knees, neutral, ribs, neutral, head, neutral. At first, we're trying to maintain neutral with all of these joints. We're just trying to hinge at the knee and lean back any amount, loading the quads, coming back up, continuing. Continuing. And now this time as we come up, we can take a seat if you feel comfortable with a seat. If you don't feel comfortable with a seat, you have this blanket here, this towel. This can be a nice way to take a seat like this, but you can also sit down on the floor, excuse me, or on a chair. Okay, we want to find, again, neutral pelvis, neutral ribs, neutral head, neutral neck. And now I can actually feel like, wow, like that strengthening series felt funky at the time, but it feels really good now. So hands on the pelvis, squeezing the shoulders together without moving the ribs or the pelvis or the neck. So only if you can maintain that and clasp the hands, I'll offer the hands clasp. But if you clasp the hands and you go like this, we talked about this at the very beginning, that this is where most of us live. We're trying to get out of that. So from here, we can just try some neck circles. So chin down, tracing the collarbones, chin to the left armpit, tracing the collarbones, chin to the right armpit, lifting the chin up, over to the left. Another circle like that. Trace the collarbones to the right, lift the chin up, paint a little rainbow over to the left. Trace the collarbones down through center, change direction. Collarbones to the left, lift the chin up through center to the right. Trace the collarbones to the left, up through center to the right, coming all the way down. Ta-da! Release your arms, release your neck, anything that feels good here. Let's go ahead, come all the way down to our backs. If you have that towel or that blanket, you might want to bring it with you. I'll bring mine with me as a pillow. We'll talk about how to place our neck when we're lying on our back. Okay, so when you place your head on the floor, and this is true at night when you're in your bed too, the purpose of the pillow is to get the forehead level with the floor or with the bed, and the chin is slightly tucked so that the back of the neck is long. And again, we're not living like this. So the chin is in. Now from here, see, can you broaden your collarbones? We've been talking about that today as well, broadening the collarbones. Can you get the rib cage down on the floor, especially these low ribs down on the floor without the arms popping up? Arms open, collarbones broad, back of the ribs down. Just see how you feel there. Does this feel different maybe than how you normally position yourself? Does this require a little bit of effort? And if it does, great. This is called a corrective exercise if this is effortful for you. And that means maybe try this out. Watch TV like this instead of in a chair. From here, pulling the legs in, we're gonna see, can I keep the back of my ribs down, my collarbones broad, my neck in a nice soft position, and walk out the pose. Using the muscles of the trunk, back of the ribs down, collarbones broad, neck soft. Can definitely feel it sparking in the abdomen. Okay, as we feel ready, feet down, windshield wiper through the knees. If it feels good to you to do kind of like any last minute poses, by all means, you can do that. And then from here, what I'll say is, let's move into a restful position. So whether that's legs out, whether that's legs up on an ottoman, I love that one. If I had my ottoman here, I would be doing that. Whether that's you lying on your side or just coming up to a seat, but let's be here together for a few minutes. This is where our nervous system gets to process what just happened. And you may find that it's actually a little bit easier to rest quietly than it would have been had we started our practice like this. And I think one of the reasons for that is we just did a bunch of things that were very challenging, some of which were maybe a little bit surprising. And every time we move, we kind of prove ourselves wrong about our ideas of who we are and what we're capable of. You know, sometimes we show up and we're like, I can't do this. And then it's like, wow, actually this feels okay, I can. Some days we show up and we're like, man, I got this. And you're like, wow, this is really hard. Some days we show up and we're like, wow, this is confusing, I don't get it. And all of these different experiences kind of prove to us that we are different than how we think about ourselves. So give your body a little bit of time to just rest here, especially at home. Hopefully you feel really safe and supported and secure. And so just feeling the skeleton release into the floor. As you feel ready, starting to move a little bit, and the fingers, the toes, or really like wherever feels good for you to move. I always like some nice great big stretches down here. And when you do that, can you stretch but keeping your back ribs down and your collarbones broad and the back of your neck long? And then we'll meet in a seated position, whether you want that seated position to be on the floor or up on a chair or something like that. we'll see here is, can I get my pelvis to be nice and neutral, my rib cage to be nice and neutral. Let's see. Takes a moment. It's not like the easiest thing in the world to suss all of that out. Head in neutral. Now, I think what we're all looking for from this practice is something that extends beyond the time that we're actually moving on our mats. And so these couple of moments are really powerful moments for us to incorporate all of this. When we get up and we start walking into the kitchen, do we take the ribs and the pelvis out of neutral? Do we immediately slump the shoulders forward and lift the chin, shortening the back of the neck and encouraging the front of the neck to be long and loose? So how can we get the neck more in its natural position? How can we live more like that? Not perfect, that's never what we're aiming for, just more precise than the moment before. So let's go ahead and just meet here, see if you can hold yourself in position, even if it feels like a little bit of effort. And it's always good to just give yourself a minute or two of silent sitting, of letting the mind think whatever it's thinking without that thinking immediately turning into behavior. That's a really key piece of our mental health. Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining today. I'll give you back to your Saturday. If you want to stick around, I'll stick around for a few minutes. If you have any questions, you can put them into the chat and Ollie will monitor those and let me know if there's any questions out there. Is there anything yet? No? Okay. And until we stop the live stream, our next live stream will be next Saturday morning. So every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time is what we are planning for right now. We may make it a little bit earlier just because we usually get up around 7 and then we're like waiting around for an hour and a half to get this to get this show on the road. So we may make it earlier, but let's say next week, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. And next week, we will work on our sweet little hippies. So if you have requests for parts of the body or even pose types, pose categories, or just poses in general that you want to work on, let us know in the comments on any of our YouTube videos and we will make sure to get that into the schedule. Otherwise, any comments yet or any questions yet? No? Okay. Wonderful. Okay, well, I will let everyone get back. If you have questions, you can leave them here and I'll answer them next week. All right, thanks everyone for joining today. Have a wonderful Saturday.